imagine a car. You buy it today, you drive it for, what, 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow it doesn't end up worth zero. In fact, imagine a car where the longer you own it, the more sense it actually makes to keep it.
It sounds like a total paradox, doesn't it?
It really does.
I mean, we are all just conditioned to see cars
Mm.
as these depreciating
The
assets.
second you drive it off the lot, boom.
Exactly. You lose 20% of the value.
Yeah.
10 years later, it's leaking oil, the electronics are shot, and you basically have to pay someone to haul it away.
But that whole model is, it's breaking down.
It is.
It really is. Welcome back to the deep dive. It is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. And if you've been paying any attention to the roads lately, you know the whole landscape has shifted.
Massively.
We're not just talking about EV adoption anymore. I mean, that's old news. We are talking about electric longevity.
Exactly. We're moving past that whole early adopter phase and into what the industry is calling the industrial circularity phase. And today we're looking at a really specific case study that just perfectly illustrates this shift.
We're diving into Renault.
We are. By now, in 2026, their big strategic transformation, what they famously call the Renaulution, is pretty much complete.
I always love that name, Renaulution. It's catchy, even if it is a little bit marketing heavy.
It is catchy, but today we're going to see if the substance actually matches the slogan.
And we have a serious stack of sources to get through.
We do. We've got internal strategy slides from Renault's 2026 e-tech presentation. We have some great industry reporting from Quattro covering this massive business deal in Italy.
Right.
And we've got official press releases from a subsidiary with a very interesting name. The future is neutral.
And the mission for today is to connect the dots between some very cool new cars we're all seeing on the streets and a very unsexy industrial deal that happened last month.
Involving a company called Polini.
Right, because apparently that deal is the reason your next car might just last forever.
That is the claim. It's all about how Renault is trying to turn Italy into the center of the European circular economy.
Okay, so let's start with the shiny part, the part you can see, the cars. I mean, looking at these slides from the 2026 presentation, the lineup has really filled out.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just the Twingo anymore.
No, it's a full ecosystem now.
Yeah.
And what really stands out in the 2026 documentation is the platform strategy. These are not just converted gas cars anymore.
Right.
They're built on these native electric platforms, Ampere, Small and Ampere.
Okay, can we just pause on Ampere for a second? Why does the platform matter to the driver? I mean, is it just about more interior space?
It's space, sure, but it's mostly about efficiency and integration. When you build native electric, you aren't fighting the chassis.
And I see.
So you can integrate things like V2G vehicle-to-grid technology right into the core architecture without messing up the car's balance or safety.
Which brings us to the Renault 5 e-tech. It's everywhere now. It's the spiritual successor to the old R5, which I think everyone has a soft spot for.
Oh, it's a design classic, and they revived it perfectly. But look past the retro styling for a second. Look at the specs in this slide. 410 kilometers of range. That's solid for a city car. But the key feature listed here is that bidirectional charging, the V2G.
Which means the car isn't just a drain on the grid.
No.
It's a battery for the grid.
Precisely. It integrates the car into the energy infrastructure of your home or even your city. You can charge it when energy is cheap.
Late at night or when the sun is out.
Yeah, and you sell that energy back when it's expensive. Suddenly the car is generating value for you while it's just parked in your driveway.
It's working for you.
It's working for you. Then you have the Renault 4 e-tech.
Right. The family hauler.
The family hauler, a versatile crossover, 420-liter trunk. It's aimed squarely at families who need that utility but want the electric architecture. Practical, rugged. It fits that do-everything niche.
And of course, the scenic e-tech.
Auto of the year.
It definitely earned it. A record-breaking 625 kilometers of autonomy. I mean, that basically kills range anxiety for good.
Absolutely. If you can drive 625 kilometers, you can go almost anywhere in Europe without a headache. It puts it on par with a diesel car, for long trips.
Yeah.
But I think the most interesting detail, for the geeks among us anyway, is the new Megane e-tech restyling for 2026.
Oh, I caught that too. They switched to LFP batteries, lithium iron phosphate. Now, we see these acronyms all the time, but break it down. Why is swapping to LFP a big deal for a car like the Megane?
It is a huge deal for two reasons: cost and durability. Traditionally, high-performance EVs used NMC nickel manganese cobalt.
Right.
Those are energy dense, they're great for performance, but they're expensive. And the materials have volatile prices. Plus, they degrade faster if you charge them 200% all the time.
I remember that old advice, never charge past 80% unless you're on a road trip.
Exactly. But LFP lithium iron phosphate, it changes the rules. It's a little less energy dense, so the battery is a bit heavier for the same range.
Oh.
But it is significantly cheaper to produce, it's safer, and crucially, it can handle thousands more charge cycles.
Yeah.
You can charge it to 100% every single day without hurting it.
So by moving the Megane to LFP, they're basically saying this is a car for the long haul.
Exactly. It lowers the entry price, makes it more accessible, and it massively increases the lifespan. It's a signal that Renault isn't just chasing 0 to 60 times.
Right.
They're chasing longevity. They want this car to be on the road in 15 years.
Okay, so we have these shiny new cars. They look great. They drive great. They have the right battery tech. But you hinted earlier there's something bigger happening behind the scenes, which leads us to the biggest news from January 2026.
The deal.
The deal. Renault, or specifically their subsidiary, The Future is Neutral, which still sounds like a sci-fi novel title to me. They acquired a 30% stake in the Polini Group.
It does sound like sci-fi. Yeah. But The Future is Neutral is their dedicated circular economy arm. And this acquisition is a pivotal moment. To understand why, you have to know who Polini is. And no, before you ask, it is not the shoe brand.
I admit that was my first thought. Why does Renault need luxury leather?
No, no high heels here. This Polini Group is the Italian leader in ELV management.
ELV.
End-of-life vehicles. Basically, when a car dies or it crashes or just gets too old to run, Polini is the one who deals with the body.
Got it.
They're a family-owned business based in northern Italy, been around for over 40 years. They do everything. Collection, depollution, dismantling, and the resale of parts.
So, to put it bluntly, did Renault just buy into a scrapyard?
See, that's the old way of thinking. And that is exactly the perception this deal is trying to change. If you look at the press release, the chief business officer of The Future is Neutral talks about creating a coherent European platform.
Okay, let's unpack that jargon. A coherent platform in the world of scrap metal. What does that even look like?
It means they're not just crushing cars into cubes anymore. The goal is to replicate the refactory of Flynn's model that Renault has in France, but do it right here in Italy. They want to industrialize the dismantling process.
Industrialized dismantling? So like an assembly line, but running in reverse.
That's a perfect way to put it. Think about how a car is built.
Yeah.
It's precise, automated, everything is tracked. Now imagine that for taking it apart.
Wow.
Instead of the guy with a wrench pulling off whatever looks valuable in a muddy lot, you have a scientifically designed process. They recover ferrous metals, plastics, glass, rubber. And this is crucial, with full digital traceability.
Digital traceability.
Yes. They know exactly what part came from what car, how many kilometers it drove, what condition it's in. It turns a pile of junk into a searchable inventory of assets.
Why is Renault doing this now? I mean, companies usually don't care about their products once they hit the trash heap. Is this just, corporate social responsibility?
Well, there's that, but there is definitely a stick behind the carrot. The sources all point to the upcoming EU regulations on end-of-life vehicles, which are expected to fully kick in around 2026.
They're regulators, of course.
Right. And these new rules are going to be tough. They're going to demand much higher recycling performance and strict traceability of materials. Renault is just getting ahead of the law.
So it's smart. They're verticalizing the death of the car, just like they verticalized the production.
And by doing that, they change the very definition of death.
Which brings us to the part that I think we all actually care about. Because industrial strategy is fascinating, but how does this affect me, the driver, in 2026? Does this actually save me money?
It changes your wallet significantly. The strategy slides we have claim this approach reduces management costs by 30 to 50%.
30 to 50? That is a massive number. Where are those savings coming from?
Think about repairs. Traditionally, if your motor or, your inverter blows up 5 years in, out of warranty, you're looking at a bill that might total the car.
Right. And you have two bad options. Buy a brand new, very expensive part, or
take a risk on a used part from a junkyard that might not even work.
The junkyard lottery. I've played that game. It is not fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But under this new system, with Polini and Renault integrated, you have access to original regenerated parts.
Regenerated. Okay, how is that different from just used?
That is the key distinction. It's not just pulled off a wreck and sold as is. It's been dismantled, tested, cleaned, repaired to a manufacturer standard.
And it's guaranteed.
And because it's coming from this official loop, it is guaranteed by the manufacturer.
So I can put a regenerated motor in my 2026 Megane, and Renault stands by it.
Correct. And because it's regenerated, it's significantly cheaper than a new one, but it functions like new.
That extends the life of the car dramatically. If a repair bill is half the price, you're so much less likely to just scrap the whole car.
It does. And then you have the software side. The sources mention OTA over-the-air updates continuing well into the vehicle's life.
Right. We're used to this with our phones, and Tesla really popularized it. But now Renault is applying it to the whole mainstream fleet.
The Megane and the R5, they get updates that actually improve their efficiency years after you buy them.
So physically, you can repair it cheaply with these regenerated parts, and digitally, it just keeps getting smarter.
Exactly.
Connect those dots for me on the car's value, because we started this by saying cars are liabilities.
It stops the free fall. In Italian, they call it valutazione depreciation. If a car can be kept running like new for cheaper, and the software stays current, the residual value on the used market stays high.
So a 10-year-old Renault becomes a much safer buy.
A much safer buy than a 10-year-old gas car was back in 2020.
That completely changes the math of ownership. But look, we have to address the elephant in the room. Or maybe the gorilla.
The battery.
The battery. It is always the battery. People are still terrified that the battery is going to die and cost 10,000 euros to replace. It's the #1 reason people hesitate with used EVs.
And historically, that was a totally valid fear. The battery was a black box. A single, expensive, scary, sealed block. If one little cell went bad,
The whole thing was trash.
the whole block was trash.
Mm-hmm.
But the 2026 slides say, from replacement to repair.
Okay, so how does that work in practice?
This is the modularity revolution. The new 2026 models all feature modular batteries. They are designed to be opened.
Like popping the back off an old TV remote.
Oh. Well, you need high voltage certification, so please don't do it in your driveway. But conceptually, yes. If one module fails, you don't replace the whole pack. You just identify the bad module and you replace that one piece.
And the sources say this isn't just a plan for the future, this is happening locally.
Yes, this isn't some distant promise. The slide explicitly mentions partners like Ubreda and Energeco. They are performing cell repairs, Reciclaggio, right now in Rome, Milan, and Bologna.
That is huge. Just knowing I can go to a shop in Bologna and get a bad cell swapped out is so much more comforting than thinking my car has to be shipped back to a factory in France.
It localizes the solution, and it goes even further. What happens when the battery is just too old? Say the capacity drops below 70%.
Usually that's the end. The range gets too short to be useful.
For the car, maybe? But not for the battery. In this circular economy, that dead battery becomes stationary storage. It goes into a home to store solar energy or into a charging column to buffer the grid.
It's a resource, not waste.
Exactly. The chemistry inside, the lithium, the cobalt, it's still incredibly valuable. It's just retired from the sprint and moved to the marathon.
I love that analogy. It's not useless. It just has a different job. Okay, now I want to get to my favorite part of the source material. Slide 5. The vision for 2036.
The auto that doesn't age.
This feels a bit sci-fi, but they're putting it in writing. Tell us about the chemistry upgrade.
This is fascinating. So battery tech moves fast. Today we use NMC or LFP,
Yeah.
but we know solid state is coming. We know sodium ion is coming. Usually if you want the new tech,
You have to buy a whole new car.
Yeah.
You can't put a new processor in an old iPhone. You just buy the iPhone 35.
but Renault is proposing technological standardization. The idea is that in 2036, you could take your 2026 car chassis, because the metal doesn't just age if you maintain it, pull out the old NMC battery pack,
Uh-huh.
and swap in a newer, cheaper, longer-lasting battery with 2036 chemistry.
So the heart of the car gets a transplant, and suddenly your old car has a modern range.
Theoretically, yes. It decouples the chassis from the energy storage. And when you combine that with the infinite motor concept, where a motor regenerated in 2030 is as efficient as a new one, you start to see why they call it the forever car.
It's the ship of Theseus. If you replace the battery, regenerate the motor, and update the software, is it even the same car anymore?
Economically, yes. And environmentally, absolutely. The slide notes that models like the Scenic are already 90% recyclable. If you keep the frame and the interior but upgrade the powertrain, you are saving a massive amount of carbon.
Compared to smelting steel to build a whole new vehicle from scratch.
Right. It's a complete inversion of the consumerism model we've all lived with since the Ford Model T.
It's moving from consumption to utilization.
You're managing an asset, not consuming a product.
So, bringing it all back to today, February 2026. If I walk into a dealership and buy a Renault Scenic E-Tech, I am not just buying a gadget.
No. You are buying into a network. You're buying into Polini's dismantling expertise, into the repair centers in Rome and Milan, into the promise of future battery swaps.
You're investing in a system.
A system designed to keep that car on the road and valuable for decades.
Mm.
The future, as they say, is circular, local, and guaranteed.
It's a compelling vision, and honestly, it makes the idea of car ownership exciting again, rather than just a financial burden.
Mhm.
We've covered an immense amount of ground today. We've gone from LFP battery chemistry to Italian corporate mergers, from V2G tech to EU regulations.
That's a lot of complex layers, we know that.
And before we wrap up, I just want to take a moment to pivot. Usually we just sign off, but today, looking at how much you, the listener, have stuck with us through these pretty dense topics.
Yeah, we should acknowledge that.
We just want to say thank you, seriously, to you, the learner, the person listening right now.
Yes. Thank you for your curiosity. I mean, it's easy to just read a headline and move on.
Mm.
It's easy to just scroll past.
Yeah.
But you're here trusting us to distill these dense sources, strategy slides, financial reports, and you're sticking with us to understand the how and the why.
And we don't take that for granted. It's your desire to understand the world, whether you're prepping for a meeting, investing, or you just want to be the smartest person at dinner tonight, that keeps us doing these deep dives.
Absolutely. Unpacking the complexity is what we love doing, but it only matters because you're there to listen and apply it. It's a real privilege to be part of your learning routine, so thank you.
Okay, before we get too emotional,
Chuckles lightly.
we have to wrap this up. We've talked about the car that evolves, the battery that gets a second life, the scrapyard that becomes a laboratory.
It raises a really interesting final thought for me.
Let's hear it.
If your car can be upgraded like a PC, swapping out the battery for better range, and it can be recycled like a soda can, where 90% of it is recovered,
Mm.
at what point do we stop calling it a used car?
And start calling it a permanent one.
Exactly. When does the odometer stop measuring life left and just start measuring distance traveled?
Something to think about the next time you see a Renault 5 zip by. Thanks for listening, everyone.
See you on the next deep dive.